This is your USMNT Abroad weekend update from April 22nd to April 24th of 2022. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV, and welcome to another USMNT Abroad episode where every Monday we update you on how the Yanks did abroad over the weekend. Now, the past few weekends or weeks have been quite depressing with a lot of bad news, and this weekend also has bad news to talk about, but there's a lot of good news. Finally, we have some good stuff to talk about, but yes, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are bad reports to give you, but there are many great ones as well. With that said, everyone, we do have an announcement this week. We will have an interview with Tenor Testament and Johan Gomez coming out on Wednesday, so don't miss out on that here in the channel. So make sure you're subscribed and that you hit that like button, because last weekend we did put up a challenge of hitting 1,000 likes on the previous episode, and I would bring Tactical Dog back. So here is an exclusive footage of Tactical Dog trying to wake up to watch the Yanks abroad over the weekend. Okay, so the promise was fulfilled. We hit 1,000 likes. Tactical Dog was back. Maybe he'll be back in the future, maybe not. Don't forget to smash that like button, obviously, for this episode as well. Let's play the intro and let's start with the updates. So the first player is Christian Pulisic from Chelsea. On Sunday, Pulisic started off on the bench and came in at the 76th minute to save Chelsea and secure them a 1-0 win over West Ham. Now, Pulisic's goal came at the 89th minute, slightly after Jorginho missed a penalty kick that could have given Chelsea the lead for this match. Pulisic scored off a nice lefty finish from a cross down the left flank coming from Aaronson. Pulisic was struggling to get minutes prior to this match and struggling to get it going for Chelsea. Hopefully, this crucial goal gets his minutes up and his confidence even higher. It was also good to see that Ziyech was playing as the wingback while Pulisic was playing more central advanced role, kind of dropping down the right flank a little bit, but mostly central. He looked like essentially a shadow striker while Ziyech was the one providing width. Now, this was a massive goal from Captain America, and it was also beautiful to see him pushing Declan Rice after the goal. It gave me some Shaq vibes, essentially, of dunking on the player and just shoving him down on the ground. It's also a little bit of a preview of what England will see throughout the World Cup in November. Now, quick update on Weston McKennie. He is expected to be back for Juventus early May, but as of now, he hasn't played. Giovanni Reina is done for the season. Next up is Dest from Barcelona. On Sunday, Dest started for the second game in a row for Barcelona and played just 45 minutes as he was subbed off at halftime during their 1-0 loss to Rayo in La Liga. The goal from Rayo scored was a good chunk on Dest. A lot to blame on him. Poor positioning, bad awareness of the opponent's off-the-ball movement on a diagonal run, and slow reaction. Now, Barcelona also failed to score, so the loss is not essentially on Dest, but that goal was mostly on him. And there were also reports claiming that Xavi was furious, and that is why Dest was subbed off at halftime. Yeah, that's definitely not good. And yes, that goal was mostly on Dest. One quick update that just came out this morning, this Monday morning. So everything's recorded on Sunday. Serginho Dest is done for the season. He was subbed off at halftime due to a muscle injury. Now, that doesn't mean Xavi wasn't furious on him. That part might still be true. But the reason he was subbed off was due to a muscle injury, and he will no longer play for Barcelona this season. So yeah, the Americans abroad injury bug continues to strike. Next up is Tyler Adams from RB Leipzig. On Saturday, Tyler Adams started and went the full 90 minutes for Leipzig during their 2-1 loss to Union Berlin. Tyler played as an 8 in a 3-5-2 formation for the most part. Of course, in the defensive shape, it looked more like a 5-3-2 as the wingbacks became essentially fullbacks. And Tyler had an okay game. He just really did not offer much on the ball. In the past 2 seasons in Bundesliga, it helped us learn a lot more about Tyler Adams. He's great tactically, defensively, great at pressing, also very versatile as he can play the 8, the 6, and the wingback role. However, he is not very good on the ball. What I mean by that is when in possession or on the ball, he doesn't really offer much, which technically is fine in the Red Bull system. He grew up in the New York Red Bull system, and essentially that was what Jesse Marsch uses, right? But Julian Nagelsmann changed the way that RB Leipzig plays last season, And that is the route Leipzig wants to go. A more modern Red Bull system that requires you to be better in possession. Sometimes even slow down the game a bit. Something the players complain about Jesse Marsch not wanting to do. You know, he wanted that high press, high intensity. RB Leipzig at times does slow down the game. My point here is that Adams does not really fit the RB Leipzig system, the new Red Bull system. So he'll forever be a backup or depth piece for Leipzig. So, in my opinion, it's not that he doesn't fit a pressing game. I just think that he needs to find a transfer for somewhere that he can be a lock-in starter. I don't see this happening with the way Leipzig wants to play, the system that has been implemented since Julian Nagelsmann. Marsch tried to change it back. It didn't work, and then they went back to somewhat what Julian Nagelsmann was playing. And Tyler can get minutes there, but he's always going to be a backup or a rotation piece. Now let's go by positions and we'll start the goalkeepers. The first one is Zach Steffen, and he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Manchester City over the weekend. But there's one thing I want to talk about completely off topic from the Americans abroad is Gabriel Jesus, that is expected to leave Manchester City, scored 4 goals and got an assist right after they announced that he's likely to leave over the summer. I just want to say one thing. He's a very underrated player. That if he finds the right club and system, expect him to be one of the best center forwards in the world. And I know this may sound crazy, but trust me on it. Next up is Ethan Horvath and Alex Maitan from Nottingham Forest. On Saturday, Horvath and Maitan stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes. But hey, at least Nottingham Forest could still be back in the Premier League next season, which is exciting considering they are 2-time Champions League champions. And I mean, there's 2 Americans in the team, so that's something to be excited about, but I still think Horvath should seek a transfer to somewhere that he's essentially a starter. Fun fact, in Brazil over the weekend, a fan invaded the field for Santa Cruz to teach the goalkeeper how to dive and properly save the ball while he was on sandals. Yes, he invaded the field for that. That actually happened. Okay, now moving forward in the field, let's go to the center backs. And we'll start with John Brooks from Wolfsburg and Kevin Paredes because he also plays for Wolfsburg. On Friday, John Brooks started and went the full 90 minutes for Wolfsburg during their 5-0 win over Mainz. Now, Kevin Paredes started off on the bench and came in at the final 10 minutes of this match for Wolfsburg as well. Funny how last week, Wolfsburg was down 5-0 at halftime against Borussia Dortmund. Now, this week, they were up 5-0 at halftime versus Mainz. Crazy, crazy times we live in. Almost as crazy as NASA sending nudes to aliens. Yes, that is happening, and you can look it up yourself, or don't look it up, but it is true. John Brooks played as a left center back in a 4-3-3 formation. He had a solid game and was fantastic in his distribution. Great game for him on the ball for sure, and he's likely the most technical defender we have alongside Chris Richards. One of his long passes led to a PK for Wolfsburg as well. The frustrating part of this match was that I wish Florian Kohfeldt would stop being such a US soccer terrorist and have given Kevin Paredes more minutes. Look, they were up 5-0 at halftime, man up. Give the kid at least 30 minutes, but it is what it is. He only played him 10 minutes. For this match, John Brooks had 2 clearances, 3 tackles, won all 3 of his ground duels and all 3 of his aerial duels. He also had 129 touches and a 91% passing accuracy. Next up is Chris Richards and Justin Che from Hoffenheim. Chris Richards is done for the season with a muscle tendon right thigh injury. It's minor, but he will be out for roughly 3 weeks. He should be available for the US Men's National Team Nations League roster, but he won't play for Hoffenheim this season anymore. Now, Justin Che stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Hoffenheim over the weekend. Next up is Eric Palmer-Brown from Troyes at Ligue 1. On Sunday, Palmer-Brown started and went the full 90 minutes as a central center back in the back 3 during Troyes' 1-0 loss to Nice. Even though it's spelled nice, I heard it's pronounced Nice. My French is getting better and better every day. Next on the list is Mark McKenzie from Genk. On Sunday, McKenzie started and went the full 90 minutes for Genk during their 1-0 win over Ghent. And hey, a clean sheet. I'll take it. The last center back I want to talk about here in the video is Cameron Carter-Vickers from Celtic. On Sunday, CCV started and went the full 90 minutes for Celtic during their 2-0 win over Ross County in the Scottish Premiership Championship round. It's the round where only the top 6 teams participate, with 5 matches to determine the champion. The points do carry over from the regular season, and Celtic currently have a 6-point gap between them and the second-placed Rangers. So they have a 6-point gap to the second-placed team, and they are likely to win the Scottish Premiership. Now let's go to the fullbacks, and we'll start with Jedi Robinson and Tim Ream from Fulham. On Saturday, Tim Ream started and went the full 90 minutes for Fulham, while Anthony Robinson started off on the bench and came in at halftime during their 1-1 draw with Bournemouth. Now, there's good news and bad news here. The good news is Fulham is back in the English Premier League. They have been officially promoted for next season. The bad news is that it looks like Anthony Robinson is truly benched. Now, Joe Bryan was not very good in this match. That's why A-Rob came in at halftime, so that can change very soon. But he has definitely been benched the past few games. Now, Reggie Cannon plays this Monday, so if you know anything about him or any updates, leave it on the comment section down below. And while you're at it, smash the like button if you haven't already. Next up is Sam Vines from Antwerp in Belgium. On Sunday, Sam Vines started and went the full 90 minutes for Antwerp during their 1-0 loss to Club Brugge. Now, for the same game, Tajon Buchanan scored the goal for Club Brugge that got them the win, the rude Canadian Tajon Buchanan. This was the first match of the championship round in Belgium where the top 4 clubs had their points cut in half, where they will now all face each other in home and away matches to determine the champion. This loss makes it unlikely that Antwerp will win the Belgium League, as they are now 7 points behind Club Brugge with only 5 games to be played. Next fullback is Joe Scally from Borussia Mönchengladbach. On Saturday, Scally started off on the bench and came in at the 69th minute, nice, for Gladbach during their 3-3 draw with Freiburg. Scally played as a right wingback for this match. We're not leaving Germany yet, so now let's talk about George Bello from Arminia Bielefeld in Bundesliga. On Saturday, George Bello started and went the full 90 minutes for Arminia Bielefeld during their 3-1 loss to Cologne. Now, look, they are likely getting relegated. It's not official yet, but based off the points and games left, Arminia Bielefeld are likely going to be in Bundesliga 2 next season, or they'll be in the playoff round to try to stay in Bundesliga. So if Bello does get relegated, he will be playing Bundesliga 2 next season, unless he leaves, which I find it unlikely. Next up is Jonathan Gomez from Real Sociedad B. On Saturday, Jogo started and went the full 90 minutes for Real Sociedad B as a left back during their 2-1 win over Amorimbieta in La Liga 2. He was also called up for Mexico to face Guatemala over the midweek here at Orlando on Wednesday for a friendly. So he won't be cap tied to Mexico if he plays, but he likely will be in the Mexican camp. The game will be played here in Orlando, so let me know in the comment section down below if you want us to do a vlog for that video. I could go to the game. I know me and L3 fans, we have this love-hate relationship, but I think it's mostly love. And if I go to the game, I'm going to get a lot of love from the L3 fans. So if you want me to do a vlog, comment down below. Now let's go to the midfielders, and we'll start with Yunus Musa from Valencia. On Saturday, Yunus Musa started off on the bench for Valencia at the Copa del Rey final versus Real Betis. The full 90 ended 1-1, which led the game to extra time, where Yunus Musa came in at the 100th minute to play a total of 20 minutes for Valencia, which would then end up tied and going to penalty shootouts. While Yunus Musa was at the game, he played mostly wide as a right midfielder / right winger for Valencia. Now, Valencia did lose 5-4 on PKs, and unfortunately, Yunus Musa was the one to miss his shot by hitting it over the crossbar. It was a very bad shot, kind of like Roberto Baggio at the 1994 World Cup final against Brazil. Now, he should have followed Diego Lainez's advice that you can't miss a PK if you never play. Yeah, Diego Lainez plays for Real Betis, and he was not even available for this match, and he barely plays at all. Now, Musa has to pick himself back up, learn, and grow from this. We've seen many legends miss this penalty kicks like this. It happens to the best of us, except for Lainez because he never plays. Next up is Johnny Cardoso from Internacional in Brazil. On Saturday, Johnny stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes for Internacional during their 1-0 win over Fluminense in the Brasileirão. Staying in South America, let's talk about Alan Sonora from Independiente. On Saturday, Alan Sonora started and played 89 minutes for Independiente during their 3-0 loss to Rosario Central in Argentina. Next are the Venezia boys, Tanner Tessman and Gianluca Busio from Venezia. On Saturday, Busio started and played 62 minutes for Venezia, while Tanner Tessman stayed on the bench the full 90 during their 3-1 loss to Atalanta. For this match, Gianluca Busio played as an 8 in a 4-3-3 formation. With this loss, they now have 8 losses in a row in the Serie A, which pushes Venezia to last place and slowly makes relegation inevitable. And we're going to have Tanner Tessman here on Wednesday to talk about that as well for that interview. Next up is James Sands from Rangers. On Saturday, James Sands started off on the bench and came in at the 68th minute for Rangers during their 3-1 crucial win over Motherwell. Crucial as they are trying to stay close to Celtic on the title race, as I mentioned earlier in the video. Sands' minutes have not been good since he moved to Rangers, but it's an 18-month loan, with a full preseason in, his minutes are likely to be up next season. Or maybe I'm just being a little bit too optimistic, but I believe his minutes will be up next season for Rangers. Next up on the list is a player that has returned, and that is Brenden Aaronson from RB Salzburg. On Sunday, Brenden Aaronson was back from the MCL injury. He started and played 64 minutes for RB Salzburg during their 5-0 win over Austria Wien. He scored their 4th goal off a PK, and RB Salzburg are now the Austrian champs, again for the 9th time in a row. And as Watke would say, that's our little Brendan. Now, Julian Green and Tim Tillman from Firth. On Saturday, Julian Green and Tim Tillman started. Green went the full 90 minutes, and Tillman was subbed off at the 83rd for Firth during their 4-1 loss to Bayer Leverkusen. Next up is Luca de la Torre from Heracles. On Sunday, Luca de la Torre started and went the full 90 minutes for Heracles during their 1-0 win over Groningen in the Eredivisie, aka the Dutch League. Next on the list is Cole Bassett from Feyenoord in the Eredivisie, so we're still staying in Netherlands. On Sunday, Bassett started off on the bench and came in at the 84th minute to assist Sinisterra for their 2nd goal to get a late 2-1 win over Utrecht in the Eredivisie. Now, the assist was not really an assist since Sinisterra, and I hope I'm saying his name right, did pretty much all the work, but Bassett did have a good off-the-ball movement to create space for his teammate. Regardless, he contributed for the late win. Now, over the midweek, the coach of Feyenoord did say that Bassett struggles when playing in tight spaces. He literally said that. With that said, that shows that futsal is very important for development and should be implemented here in the United States. In MLS also, the regular season MLS games, I think players are given too much time and space. So it lacks intensity. Okay, it's kind of obvious in the regular season. The playoffs, you see more intensity. US Open Cup, you see more intensity. But MLS regular season games, leave your thoughts down below. That's just my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right, but I see some lack of intensity and too much time and space for certain players, for most players. Now, Alex Mendez from Vizela in Portugal. On Friday, Alex Mendez started and was subbed off at the 69th minute, nice, for Vizela during their 2-1 win over Aroca in Liga NOS, the Portuguese league. Now, Dwayne Holmes from Huddersfield. On Friday, Holmes started and played 89 minutes for Huddersfield during their 2-1 win over Barnsley. Now, Huddersfield have locked in a playoff spot to fight for the 3rd and last spot in the English Premier League. The top 2 teams in the Championship go directly to the English Premier League. Now, teams 3, 4, 5, and 6 play playoffs for the last spot. Last but not least, Richie Ledesma from PSV. On Saturday, Richie Ledesma started off on the bench and pretty much stayed there the entire game during PSV's 2-1 win over Cambuur. I said pretty much because he came into the game at the 91st minute. This win keeps PSV's hopes and dreams alive to win the Eredivisie, as they currently sit 4 points behind Ajax with 4 matches to be played. Now let's go to the forwards, and we'll start with Timothy Weah from Lille. On Sunday, Weah started and went the full 90 minutes for Lille during their 1-0 win over Strasbourg in Ligue 1. Good to see Weah get to start and play a big role on Lille's win with the game-winning goal. Essentially, the cross came from him. He did not get the assist because there was a deflection, but it was off his cross that Lille got the win, the goal that got them the win. For this match, Weah played mostly wide rather than as a striker, mostly on the left side of the field, which is even where his cross came from to get them the goal. For this one, he had 47 touches, 76% passing accuracy, 1 key pass, won 5 out of 7 ground duels, lost possession 17 times, and was fouled twice. To be fair, Weah could have done a better job with the crossing. Now, Ricardo Pepi from Augsburg in Bundesliga. On Sunday, well, Ricardo Pepi didn't play, so there's good news and bad news here. The good news is that Augsburg won, and they are 99% safe from getting relegated. Now, the bad news is Pepi stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes, and his minutes just haven't been good the past few games. Next up is Nico Gioacchini from Montpellier in Ligue 1. On Saturday, Gioacchini started off on the bench and came in at the 85th minute for Montpellier during their 5-2 loss to Lyon in France. Now, Josh Sargent didn't play for Norwich over the weekend. He's still dealing with that ankle injury. We don't know when he'll be back, even if he will be back this season. Next up is Chris Mueller from Hibernian in Scotland. On Saturday, Mueller started off on the bench and came in at the 70th minute for Hibernian during their 1-0 win over St. Mirren. Hibernian are in the relegation group, which they seem safe from getting relegated as they lead the group currently. This group is composed of the 6 teams in the bottom of the table after the regular season, and only the bottom 2 of this group get relegated, and they're currently in first. Next up is PFOC from BSC Young Boys in Switzerland. On Saturday, Pulisic started and played 83 minutes for BSC Young Boys while also scoring a brace during their 3-1 win over Servette. With 30 matches played in the Swiss League, Pulisic has 21 goals scored, which makes you wonder if the USMNT should give him more chances or the Swiss League is just very, very bad. We talked about this here in the channel in the past. I have no set opinion on the Swiss League because I don't really watch it. I do have some opinions on Young Boys and Zurich and Basel based on European competitions, and they're pretty strong teams. But the rest of the league, I'm just not sure. We got two more forwards to talk about, and one of them is Haji Wright from Antalyaspor in Turkey. And this guy has been red hot lately. On Sunday, Haji Wright started and played roughly 90 minutes as he was subbed off at the 90th minute for Antalyaspor during their 1-1 draw with Kayserispor in Turkey. Haji Wright scored once again for this match, and this time it was a golazo, beautiful shot, a lefty shot from outside the box, a really beautiful goal that he scored, and he continues to score for them a lot lately. Last but not least in this video is Fulham Balogun from Middlesbrough, and he stayed on the bench the full 90 minutes over the weekend. He continues to not have a very good loan spell in Middlesbrough from Aronson. Alright everyone, that does it for this video. If you enjoyed this type of content, don't forget to smash that like button. We did hit 1,000 likes last week, and hopefully we can do that again this week. Now with that said, if you want us to do the Mexico vlog over the midweek, comment down below. I'll gladly do so if I can make it to the game. Also, don't forget we will be releasing the interview with Tanner Tessman this midweek, and Johan Gomez as well, the brother of Jonathan Gomez. Both of them will be together in the interview. I want to thank you all very much for watching, and have a great day.